Our next speaker is Seán Cottrell. You all know Seán. He's been the principal of primary schools, both very small and fairly large. He's got a history of international voluntary work, so Seán cares, and he cares in many ways. He's a passionate GAA supporter. He's been CEO, of course, of IPPN for the last 15 years, and in recent times he's spoken publicly about Parkinson's disease and how it has affected his own life, both positively and negatively. My father had Parkinson's disease and he fought it bravely. Seán does too, and he fights indeed for all of you. Would you please welcome Seán Cottrell?
Good morning, everybody. Je suis Charlie. What was I saying in coffee? Je suis Charlie, boy. Minister, you are most welcome to your first IPPN conference. Fellow principals, esteemed guests, and each and every one of you are also very, very welcome indeed. When preparing for this morning, I thought about addressing the many serious challenges facing you as leaders of schools. The chronic underfunding of primary education, the erosion of middle management, the lack of administration days, the new SEN model, and dozens of more issues. But you know what? I won't. Because you have heard it all before. And I can assure you that the Minister and her officials over here to my left are all fully aware of all of the issues that concern principals. We meet with senior department officials throughout the school year regularly. IPPN was also asked to make a submission to the Joint Oireachtas Committee for Education to outline the challenges facing school leaders. We did that, and we also put forward the solutions required to resolve them. Believe me, any lack of progress in this area is not for want of persuasion, passion, or persistence. And we will not rest until these issues are resolved. Around the world, governments are finally copping on to the importance of school leadership. They've arrived at the conclusion that it matters a lot. It is encouraging that our Department of Education and Skills is increasing its investment in school leadership, as we heard today. We very much welcome the Minister's announcement of the development of a Centre for School Leadership with an investment of €3 million over 3 years. This centre represents a very positive development for school leaders, and we thank the Department for that. What underpins the significance of this new initiative is the Department's commitment to involving IPPN and our colleagues at second level in APD in the direct management of this project. IPPN fully supports the development of the centre, and we look forward to working more closely with NAPD and the Department. IPPN will, of course, continue as your professional body to provide your members with the support, services and advocacy that you require into the future. What I want to talk about today actually is the theme of our conference, Daring to Lead. I'm inspired by the principals that I meet and hear about every day, who show great courage in their leadership. Every single day, you show how much you care about the children in your school. You keep the children at the heart of everything you do. You fight for every possible resource and support for those who need them. You make sure that the gifted children, as well as those who have learning difficulties, are supported to reach their potential. You offer support and encouragement to the teacher who may be struggling. You listen to the needs of others, often paying scant attention to your own. In other words, you put others first and you lead by example. Being a leader sometimes means having to deal with poor practice. It takes courage to raise expectations. That's no easy task and can have potential risks for you, especially in your relationship with other teachers. Being a leader sometimes means the daring to challenge the status quo. For example, I'm aware of a principal who managed to get a grant for a prefab, but she convinced her board to build a permanent classroom instead. Fair play to her, I say. But persuading the architect wasn't so easy. But the architect did ultimately agree, and who could argue it was better value for money and it was the right thing to do. Great leadership isn't only about courage. In my view, great principals and school leaders have the ability to build close relationships with their staff, but they also keep a certain distance. You provide strong leadership, but you also let other people lead also. You trust your staff, but you still keep an eye on what they're doing. You're visionary, yet you focus on the day-to-day business. You gain consensus, but when you have to, you are able to make tough decisions. You are confident, but you're also humble. You're ambitious, but not for yourself. This describes the vast majority of you. You lead and manage a complex array of human and other resources with no handbook, no pre-appointment training, inadequate resources, high expectations from all sides that you will succeed. And in almost all cases, you exceed these expectations and come in on time and within budget. You could teach Irish water a thing or two. For that, you have earned the respect of your community and you're held in high esteem. Hold on to it. I'm concerned, though, for some principals that the relentless pressures are slowly draining them of the hope and enthusiasm that they need to be confident leaders. Napoleon said that leaders are dealers in hope. But if you are to give hope to others, then you too must have hope. Hope that at least some of the pressures that you have will be alleviated. IPPN, for the last number of years, has been supporting principals who are struggling in their day-to-day leadership of their schools. Because of stress, these principals have lost perspective, and they may also have lost the capacity to make decisions. They're unsure who to consult with, staff, parents, or board, and when not to. They spend more time reacting to the urgent rather than focusing on the important. They ask many questions, and they want someone to tell them where the answer is written down. Some principals struggle with the relative importance of doing the right things as opposed to doing things right. It concerns me a lot, and it's quite disturbing to discover that there's a minority of principals living in a state of constant anxiety and even in fear. Fear of what might happen if they try to move a reluctant teacher to a different class, or fear of a meeting with an angry parent or a difficult chairperson. Living in such an existence can only result in massive stress, and the first victim of stress is judgment. A principal in this state of mind can lose their self-confidence and avoid decision-making. Failure to make decisions leads to stagnation. I think it is safer to act in good faith, with compassion, even if you get it wrong, than if you fail to act at all. While it is important to try and gain consensus and bring people with you, ultimately, as principal, the final decision is yours. Now, I'm not saying this is a license to behave like a dictator. We saw plenty of that in the recent Charlie drama. There is a clear line between a self-serving leader and a servant leader, on the other hand. Ultimately, the way we listen, communicate, and behave defines us as a leader. There's a lot of truth in the saying that people buy into the leader before they buy into the vision. Whether I'm in my first year or my 21st year in the role of principal, I need to have an awareness of what motivates me, what keeps me fresh. How do I prevent the relentless repetition of ritual events from draining my enthusiasm? What inspires me? Do I have the resilience required to handle challenges that will test every fibre of my being? Have I had 20 years' experience, or was it 1 year's experience repeated 20 times? In a nutshell, am I becoming a better leader? I believe that for school leaders, personal development, by which I mean interpersonal and interpersonal skills, is just as important as professional learning. I say this because you can be an expert on the curriculum. You can have great knowledge of the key legislation. You can have all the pupils safely in the pod. But if you can't communicate effectively, if you can't manage conflict, if you're not aware of your own strengths and weaknesses, then you will not thrive in the role. Principals who are self-aware and who put time into their own personal development have an added layer of confidence that guides them in decision-making. I would go so far as to say that if you want to thrive in your role and not just survive it, you must be grounded in a strong personal belief in what you're doing. A belief with a greater purpose, perhaps even a moral purpose. The Irish Primary Principals Network it's your network. It empowers you to develop your leadership skills, to support each other, to help you face whatever tough challenges come your way, and above all, to give you the courage to dare to lead. Thank you for your attention.